Okay, in this video, we're gonna review for the midterm, which is for my class. It's on Wednesday, and I'm looking at the resources in here for the midterm that you all have in your La Lima, and you've probably seen these files before. I'm going to go over this study guide, and then I'm going to go over the example midterm, specifically covering answers. I've got some new answers, some I think are more clear. And then I'm also going to go over these two practice problems. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of review from our assignment. Okay, specifically some of these that maybe aren't quite so clear. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. I hope to cover it all in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, first of all, I'd like you to let's look at this study guide, because the study guide is very important. I definitely recommend bringing the study guide with you to the exam. We have a summary table here. We have a summary of stat types and whether they're categorical or numerical data and what it's used for. And we've got another kind of summary here, which we actually use for those problems where we're only supposed to indicate whether it's what summary table or chart we're going to use, and we'll go through those. And I've modified it a little bit here. I've added what it was on the side here, and I've also highlighted some things, and I've also put little letters here for you to be able to see when N is for when you'd use what for whether the data is normal or not normal. And so we will refer to these when we're doing those problems, to this when we're doing those problems. The other thing that's very valuable on this page here is these are the 4 rules for determining if a process is out of control. And it basically reminds you of them. This is actually rule 4 here, and this is this is accumulation of 8 or more above or below the mean. This one is actually rule 1, which is where you have an outlier outside the upper control limit or lower control limit. Here you've got 8 in a row above or below the mean. In this case, it's below the mean. And here you have 8 in a row where they're all increasing or they're all decreasing. So those are how you recognize. Those are the flags for recognizing if a process is out of control, and you only need one of them to be able to say that the process is out of control. This formula down here simply is saying that you need to have 5 or more defects when you're doing proportional charts, and you need to and for R charts and X bar charts, that's where you actually have values. You have to look at the R chart first to determine if everything is in range. If the range is out of control, then the X bar, which is the mean, doesn't make any sense. So let's get started. Let's open up this midterm here, and I've got that right here. You recall this? I've made some little adjustments here just to make it easier to go through. I've taken the appendices, and I've actually put them in next to the problem. So let's go through this. I will include these everything you see here. I'm gonna add them to the resources. So when I'm all done with this, you should be able to go to La Lima to get your own copies of these. Okay, the first set of problems here, you recall, are where you're given a scenario here, and you're the assistant manager of Starbucks, and you've got some questions here. You want to display out some things, some information, and you're supposed to say what chart, table, or measure you would use for each one of these. And I've put here what these abbreviations mean, which are actually from the study guide here. Okay, here we are. Okay, and but the answers, the actual answers themselves, are underlined. So when you're taking the exam, you actually only need to put the number or the letter. Okay, but I've made it more clear. Okay, so the first one is you're tracking the dollar amount of customers. Okay, dollar amount, that implies a numerical value spent at the cafe, and most of these, for most of these, you're really only looking at one variable. So it's rare that you're looking at more than one. There is a couple down here, but so 1n is, so it's a numerical variable, and you want to report a measure of central tendency. Okay, central tendency is it's going to be in this uh, column here, and it's numerical data. Does it say anything about you are concerned with the large number of outliers? Okay, so from that you can assume that it's not normal. So if we do look at this here, we look at the 0, not normal, or the O for not normal. So we're talking about, probably number 2 here. What's number 2? It's the median. So that's the answer. And if we go back to the exam, it's 1n, so 2. So 2 is the answer to number 1 here. What's next? You wish to have a useful measure. Okay, that's a measure, not a graph or a table. A variability. Okay, we're talking about standard deviation or variance. For variability, standard deviation, or interquartile range, depending on whether it's normal. A look at the stem and leaf shows that the data is normal. Okay, so we're looking at variability. It's drink time, so it's a numerical variable. If we do go look at this, we see numerical variable, one numerical, and variability. So, and the data is normal, so we would be looking at, looks like number 5 here, which is standard deviation. And so that's why we have standard deviation here. So the answer is 5. This third one, it's not clear to me immediately whether we're looking at a bunch of products in each category, or we're just looking at one number, total number in each category. And so I'm just not going to bother answering that one. The midterm questions are much more clear than that. We made sure of that. Okay, number 4 here, you have data on the total amount of time each customer spends in the cafe. Okay, so we're looking at time. That'd be a numerical, and we want to visually compare the shape of the frequency of the data to a bell-shaped curve. Okay, so it's numerical, and we want to visually compare shape. And so let's go back to our study guide, and we want to if we look at the shape column here, we see we're looking at one numerical variable, 3, which is quartiles. That's not, we actually want to compare it with the bell-shaped curve. So 3 does not do that. 6 does not. That gives us a measure. That's not visually comparing. 7 is a measure, not visually comparing. 10 is this normality plot, normal probability plot, which is a chart. So that's we would use a chart to visually compare. So I would put M as the answer, and so that's why we get M here. What's next? Every day, a sample of 5 to 10 prepackaged bags of coffee beans are taken from the shelf and inspected for defects. Okay, so this looks like a quality problem. It's defective. We're looking at the proportion of them that have defects, 5 to 10 each day over a period of time, and so we want a chart that helps us do that. Well, this is categorical data. It's either defective or not defective, and so we go back to the study guide, we see that for one categorical chart is A is P chart, which is what the answer is. G is a pie chart. H is it's difficult to show that over time. It would change each time, and it would just give you a total likely. Same with H. That would not be good. And I excuse me. G is bar chart. Right. So uh, this is something that we're looking at over time. Uh, Samples every day, and a P chart would be the answer for that problem. So we have P chart here, which is A. A. Okay, next we have a table of 10 different customer complaints as well as the frequency of each complaint, and we'd like a graph, a chart, or a plot that would be useful to determine the most frequent reasons for customer complaints. So we're looking at a most frequent. We could actually use a bar chart. A pie chart is difficult to look at differences between each other. Comparing between it's difficult in a pie chart to see what the overall biggest one is. That's easier in a bar chart. A Pareto chart, though, will also order them, so we'll be able to quickly see the the categories with the most complaints first. So either H or G would be the right answer. Okay, the last one is there are 7 work shifts per day, and you want a table that shows the percentage of customers who complain for each shift for each day. Okay, so this is actually 2 categorical variables because we have work shifts, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then we also have complaining customers and non-complaining customers. So we have this customer category. They either complain or they don't, and then we have the work shift. So that's a 2C, 2 categorical, and so really when we're talking, and we want a table, so that narrows it down pretty much. 2 categorical table is L, which is the crosstab table. So that is the answer to number 7. I'm going to end this video now and start a new one to continue with the next problem 8. Okay, thanks for watching.